so she can still snowball hella good. So for solo queue, she's still an absolute terror. In fives, she's still amazing due to that global pressure which she pulls, the demand for pink wards, and you know, having to invest in that is a huge part of her effect in fives. But the fact that you're gonna have less income and less snowball in fives, so you're not gonna be able to do as much damage. You're gonna be forced to play more tanky. So it was a hit in that sense where you won't see her be dealing as much late game damage in fives, but solo queue she still has a whole lot of potential there. Jarvan, I've got really mixed opinions on Jarvan. I rank him high because he's kind of like a Nocturne in a sense where he can get onto that back line. His level 3 and early game pressure is really, really good, however, where his level 2 ganks, which can come straight from a red buff, can, you know, pop a flash in mid or even get a kill straight off the mark. His level 3 is really good as well. The things which hold Jarvan back though are his long cooldown rotations, which is his EQ combo. If he misses that on a target, that's gank over. If he's in a duel with someone and they manage to flash or dodge the EQ combo, he cannot win that. He generally cannot win that trade anymore. His 2v1 ganking is amazing, as I was saying before. However, if he gets counter ganked and it's a 2v2 due to those long cooldowns, it's really kind of iffy. He's still really, really strong and is hard to stop the snowball of. He can get really tanky, or go brutalize a Hex Drinker and pretty much one-shot you. Really versatile champ. Has decent objective control. Sorry. Decent objective control due to his passive. Somewhat execute due to his Q burst and stuff, but just not quite making the primary tier as well due to his somewhat iffy skirmishing, and objective control isn't as strong as before. Isn't as strong as the other junglers. Rengar. So we've seen a lot of success and failure in Rengar in different areas. Rengar in solo queue being an absolute terror, come one-shot you. Rengar in fives, you know, jump in with an Orianna ball and crush your entire team. He's got hit with a nerf on his cooldown recently. It extended that up quite a bit. on top of the cooldown, he also got hit with a radius indicator on his ultimate, where even if he's in Fog of War, it will warn you that he is nearby. So it gives you an extra probably second or second and a half to react, which is quite a long time. Like, that can help you prep your flash, prep, you know, your CC, anything. He's dropped down the ranks quite a bit for that. His skirmishing is quite good. Like his dueling ability in a 1v1, if you have the right amount of ferocity, he's pretty much unstoppable fighting in the jungle. Yeah, if you fight him in the jungle and he has the right ferocity stacks, in fact, you're pretty much dead. There's no way to outrun him that way. His objective control, he can heal up and sustain alright, and has some burst damage with a Q execute on it, but it's still so-so on the objective control. The only thing with him is he's kind of snowball reliant. If you don't get rolling with Rengar, it's really lackluster late game. So he's still a high tier pick here, but it's a risky one at that. Probably better in solo queue if you know how to snowball a game with him, which kind of comes down to forcing these 1v1s and skirmishes like I'm talking about. Alright, so these ones I'm going to have less of a talk on because we're moving down tiers, so I'm going to speed up the rest of this video. But moving on to tier 1.5, which is slightly lower than tier 1. These guys here still very, very viable, also no pun intended, but they are, yeah, they're still strong. They just have clear weaknesses, I guess. And I was debating putting Vi in tier 1 But yeah, we'll move on and start talking about her. So Vi, she's she got hit earlier in the season with cooldown. Cooldown on her ultimate went up quite a bit, and on top of that, the Q base damage got nerfed, but the scaling got increased. So it's a kind of similar story to what I was talking about with Eve earlier on in this video. Just, I guess I compare her to Jarvan in the early pre-6 stage, where her ganks, if she misses her Q, she's kind of useless. In a ganking situation, it's like gank over if you miss the Q. That said, if she hits it, it's really, really good, but it's kind of unreliable. Her dueling in the early game pre-6, unless she jumps you in the jungle, gets a fully charged Q off on you while you're not expecting it and stuff, she'll probably lose the fight against any of these top tier junglers. Like Lee Sin, Rengar, all of them will just totally kick her ass pre-6 and be able to stomp all over her jungle. Yeah, also her 2v2 is similar to that of Jarvan's, where she can only really hit one person with a Q, and then a lot of her cooldowns just running at you so you can kite her out or burst her down, focus her, whatever. So for that reason, she's dropped down a little bit. Her level 6 gank still really, really good. Also, I want to mention the rise of Morgana in the meta at the moment has kind of shut down Vi at the moment, as well as Banshees. Banshees being such a good item for like everyone in the late game means that her initiation has kind of dropped off a little bit. Yeah, she can't really get that late game initiation, so she kind of falls off in that sense in team fighting. But she can still snowball hella hard if you get fed like really, really hard and end up one-shotting people. But that's the same with a lot of champs that I'm going to be talking about. Okay, Wukong. Wukong got hit by a lot of nerfs a little while ago, and has really fallen off as jungler. He was quite high tier before. Kind of bad objective control. His wave clear's okay. Sorry, his jungle clear's okay. His wave clear's pretty poor. Ganking pre-6 is really, really lackluster. Ganking post-6 is pretty good, but the scaling damage on it got reduced quite a bit. Not much to really say about Wukong. He's still really good in the fact that he can snowball like the other guys, build hella damage on him, and Cyclone on a team pretty much insta-kill, penta-kill them, like if you can get 5-man fully charged ultimate. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna move on to tier 2, which is a really, really interesting sort of tier for me. Oh, sorry, forgot about Maokai. Maokai is obviously seen a lot more in the top lane at the moment. The tweaks to him make him really, really, really good in the late game, where you can chuck your ultimate on, get the reduced damage, keep proccing your passive, and almost never die. There's a point in the game where you pretty much never die. His late game scaling is kind of what puts him to this list. He is a vulnerable early game sort of tanky jungler, but his dueling and base damages on his Q make him one of the better ones, as well as just, I guess, his gank potential as well. It's reliable due to his W being targeted. Not many other sort of tanky junglers have that targeted ability, and then backed up with such easy to hit CC, along with this late game scaling. So he's one of the rare cases of a tank jungler actually being viable in the current meta. He's certainly not top tier, but you know, he's sitting around that tier 1.5, so he's not bad at all. I'd still recommend playing Maokai in top lane due to his dominance in the lane. His sustain is really good, his base damages are really, really good, his scaling into the late game is really good. He's certainly the best, or at least top 3 in the top lane at the moment, but sitting around the tier 1.5 in our list here. Okay, so the Bruiser tier, tier 2. This consists of pretty much all similar, similar kit and similar kit champs, like your Bruisers, Skarner, Udyr, Olaf, Riven, Hecarim, Xin Zhao, Pantheon Z, Amumu, another sort of rare tank case similar to that. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of the type of champs we have here. None of these champs have execute damage. Apart from Pantheon, who can execute Dragon and Baron with a Q for like 1,000 damage late game, but we'll get to him later. So Skarner, Udyr, Olaf, Riven, Hecarim, blah blah blah, all have no execute damage and kind of poor objective control. Although Udyr can solo dragons and stuff with his turtle stance, it's quite easily able to be stolen away by some of the executable junglers in the top tier. Their dueling, all of these guys have really good dueling except for Hecarim and Amumu. They can all pretty much 1v1 reasonably effectively. However, they lack the mobility with it. Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, Elise can all get in and out of your jungle reasonably safely due to repel, jumps, and reliable mobility. Most of these guys have to run out of your jungle. With the vision, like the trinkets and pink wards and the rise of the vision wars that are happening at the moment, it's really hard for these guys to get in and force these duels, just due to the fact that if they do get caught in the jungle, they're forced to flash out, and if they don't have flashes or ghost, they are not going to get any effective ganks off. So that leads me to the next point. Due to their mobility, they have really nice dueling kits, but to get into a gank they have to at least have a really good gank path. So they need to get in behind you or up close to you before they become effective. Thus, a lot of people will just either CC them and walk away, or just get out of these ganks super easily. That's the common theme within these guys. Just gonna really briefly rush over sort of main stats of each of these champs. So, Skarner was probably tier 1 or I'd say probably tier 1.5 a couple of patches ago. He got a very small nerf to him, which kind of hurt his jungle clear time as well as his dueling damage. I think it was hit on his Q and a little bit on his cooldown of his ulti. Still really good at dueling, like surprisingly good. There's videos of people, half health Skarner, full health Pantheon and stuff, and Skarner can easily out-duel them. He's got a whole bunch of CC. If Skarner gets onto you and hits his E and then a couple of Qs and locks you down, you're screwed. Once he's 6, if he grabs you and he pulls you back far enough, if you don't flash away, you're screwed. But once again, you can kite him out and you can counter jungle him and get out with a high mobile champ. If you deny him his blue buff, he's a little bit screwed in that sense. Scaling into the late game, he can make good picks, but his team fighting is somewhat iffy. So yeah, Skarner sitting high on tier 2. Udyr, Trick 2G, King Solo Q, blah 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 blah. Udyr, yeah, he's... I mean, some people can make Udyr work. Like, for example, Rippy on the server, brilliant Udyr player. There's a lot of Udyr players on the server that really know how to do this guy effectively, but in regards to late game scaling, unless you get super fed and do all this backdooring stuff, you can't really carry that hard in the late game. His early game is really farm reliance. His ganks are kind of poor unless they have bad vision and are totally out of position. He's a really hard one because he sucks so much in 5s, but in solo queue you can have so much success with him if you know what you're doing. So I've placed him tier 2 in that sense, that he's kind of inconsistent in my mind. Olaf is actually making a bit of a comeback now. Slight buffs to him in the last patch. Saw him more health, More health regen on his W.